We're going to be comparing every Roblox AOT game, from the old and nostalgic to the new and modern. I do not plan on holding back. Let's start with AOT Vengeance. There are a lot of things I like about this game, and there are a lot of things I absolutely hate about this game. This game is anti-pay to win. I was surprised when I found out that you couldn't buy bloodline spins with Robux. Most of the game passes are cosmetic only. I think I like the inventory and the quest system. I think it's a cool idea, but the core issues with the game come down to the ODM gear. I cannot find any slider to reduce speed on the ODM gear. And Titan nape hitboxes are absolutely horrendous. If you have too much speed with your ODM gear, it is the most annoying thing trying to hit a Titan's nape. I actually switched from a high upgraded ODM gear down to the starting gear, and I was able to get many more kills. The thing with AOT games is when you're traversing around the map, everybody wants speed, but when you're combating Titans, too much speed is very problematic. And this game has some of the most annoying bugs. There's a quest where you have to kill a berserker titan, and because I switched back to the starting gear, I had to go back and refill like 20 times just fighting this thing. And after 10 to 15 minutes of fighting it, some guy came in and took the last hit, and the rewards are supposed to distribute upon damage dealt, but because he got the final hit, some bug went into effect that caused me to get 0 rewards. That's when I rage quit the game. AOT Revenge. I think this game holds a special place in many people's hearts, including mine. This game was made in 2018. It was so fun back in the day, but it's completely dead now. And unfortunately, if you want to play this game solo, you can't. There needs to be at least 2 players to start a mission. Back then, this game was absolutely peak. For today's standards, it does not have good ODM mechanics, and the hitboxes are terrible. Titan Warfare. This game was a PvP Attack on Titan game. This game was absolutely peak. Unfortunately, the developers have abandoned it. This game has the best shifter combat I have ever seen and the best AOT PvP combat I've ever seen. They did try going to PvP at one point, but it has so many bugs and is so terrible, I cannot recommend it for anyone. But for the main game, the PvP, it is excellent. Easily the best PvP game on the platform for AOT. Untitled Attack on Titan, created in 2020 and is still updated up to today. This game has a lot of bugs, but specifically with the Titan shifting, I haven't personally seen too many bugs with the ODM gear. I like a lot of the progression in this game. However, in my opinion, I think the ODM gear that you unlock at later stages is just too overpowered and it makes the game boring. Same with shifting. Shifting isn't very well made, and you grind for shifting just so you can M1 Titans. It's not really that fun. Titan Warfare is the only game, the only Attack on Titan game that has actually done shifting well. That is my opinion. Even with all these slight criticisms, I still think the ODM is pretty satisfying in this game. The UI has been updated since I last played. This game still has pretty active player base and has decent progression. This game's got missions, waves, boss fights, and free roam. You might want to check it out. Now I know people are gonna be wondering why I didn't cover this certain game, and unfortunately due to legal complications, I cannot comment on this game. Another game I played while making this video is called AOT Freedom War. When I put in the time to understand this game, it really surprised me, and it really had to be its own video. So it's linked on my other channel. I'm not going to be uploading on that channel anymore, by the way. It's easily the most unique concept for an AOT game because it's story based. Another game that I feel like I have to mention is the Freedom War demo. This one is basically Freedom War except less wait times, less story mode, and it's all about Titan combat and a lot smaller maps. I like the demo a lot. I wish it would make a second version with smaller maps. Probably the main downside of Freedom War is just when you die and you're spectating and you're just sitting there for like 10-15 minutes, which is why I like the smaller maps more. But what Freedom War does different than every other Attack on Titan game is that you have to decide when to actually attack the Titans or when to hold off. If you just attack every single Titan you see, you will eventually die. Due to the hardcore nature of the Freedom War games, I believe they are some of the most true to the anime and manga Attack on Titan games that you can find. AOT game I really want to mention is an old one, AOTTG. This game is the game that inspired the creators of Titan Warfare. I know this because in the Titan Warfare server, Robbie's profile picture is a character from the game. A lot of people make fun of this game's graphics because it's so old. The ODM gear is truly unique. It's hard to learn at first, but it has so many controls. The beautiful thing about this game is you can always improve at the ODM gear. If you look up cracked gameplay, I can't even understand what's going on. How do you even get this good? Maybe I'm biased because this is probably the first AOT game I've played. I highly recommend you check it out. You can play it on the browser, I'm pretty sure. And while I was making this video, I realized there's an AOTTG too. And it's been out for a while. I was too stupid to notice. But it's basically just a more polished version of this game. I feel like the ODM gear is much more responsive. The multiplayer is pretty fun. I was trying the game out for the video and I ended up playing for 2.5 hours. I only needed like 5 minutes of footage, but that's just how much I enjoy this game. So everyone that I've shown AOTTG basically laughs at it because of its graphics. This game probably has the best gameplay mechanics out of any AOT game that I've played. The ODM gear is very momentum based. Once you're going at high speed, the smallest adjustments can completely change your trajectory. And once you learn how to adjust the ODM gear, getting Titan kills can be extremely satisfying. And the Titan mechanics, I think, are some of the best Titan mechanics. These Titans are very fun to fight. In the multiplayer, basically somebody hosts a lobby and then they choose the settings. What makes this amazing that it's community hosted is that you can find lobbies geared for every skill level. They also added proximity chat, so now you get to hear your teammates beg for their life when a Titan grabs them. One last really nice touch is the music selection. Every Roblox AOT game seems to use the most epic music from Attack on Titan, just completely overusing the music from the best parts of Attack on Titan, and I end up having to mute the music. This game seems to have some Attack on Titan music, but none of the ones that are overused, and I think some of them are remixes and they're just more chill. I think the music selection is actually good in this game, and it seems you can also add your own music if you want to. Usually with AOT games, there's two different design philosophies. I think a lot of the games choose to either focus more on gameplay mechanics or progression. For example, the official Attack on Titan game, in my opinion, the mechanics aren't that great. It looks like something that's made for console, but the progression, unlocking ODM gear and stuff, makes me almost want to pick it up and play it. But I know that the ODM gear mechanics is just not there, so I've never picked up that game yet. Some games don't seem to really care about making money. Some of those games have the best ODM gear mechanics. Unfortunately, they don't have progression. You're just not going to make a game with progression and then not monetize it. The games that prioritize gameplay and mechanics are Titan Warfare, AOTTG, Freedom War, and many more. Titan Warfare is actually a decent blend between prioritizing gameplay mechanics and progression. It has some pretty alright progression with leveling up, stuff like that. In my opinion, it's not overly monetized where you have to gamble for items that affect your gameplay. The only thing you can gamble for is cosmetics. Games that prioritize progression would be something like Untitled Attack on Titan. This absolute garbage game, Titan Clash Online, this is just a simulator game. You can't even call it an Attack on Titan game in my opinion. And there's another one which I'm unable to mention or discuss. Now that we covered all the released and polished games, it's time to dig deeper into the realm of unreleased, unfinished games which had potential but were given up on for whatever reason. One demo I thoroughly enjoyed is a game that's very true to its name, Dead on Arrival. Because it's fucking dead. My first impressions of this game were the mechanics are very satisfying. Killing Titans in this game is satisfying. The first thing I recommend doing if you're gonna play this game is disabling the slash indicator. I'm not sure if the setting actually works, but the slash indicator is something that I find very annoying because it gives you a direction in which you are supposed to attack the Titan's nape in order to do the maximum damage. And I found this to be extremely limiting. It just limits your freedom in which you're able to attack the Titan from. Being forced to attack from a certain angle is fucking lame. If the devs are watching this, I suggest removing that feature. But other than that, the ODM is actually pretty high quality in my opinion. You have the up and down controls, so you can hold W to go up or S to go down. You got your dodging and your boosting. And since I last played, they added a new map. This game is seriously underrated just based on the overall visit count. I have no idea why more people don't talk about this game because I find it very enjoyable, especially the old map. They should add the option to go back to that map. Now, probably the most popular Attack on Titan demo would be Freedom Awaits. I'm not really sure what happened with this game. I think somebody told me there was some kind of conflict between the dev team, but looking at the game, you have some really nice attention to detail. For example, if you get injured, your arm will just be dangling there. I always thought it was so cool. And if you get injured even more, your arm will just be missing. And the way this happens is if a Titan is biting you and somebody saves you. It was always weird to me. You have this attention to detail and then you have a mix of kind of simulator mechanics. When you get grabbed, you have to do this mini game, and I always didn't like the mini game part of it. Freedom of Weights is now very buggy due to Roblox updates over time, but it still seems to be playable. Alright, I just couldn't not mention this game because the mechanics have some true attention to detail. This game is not exactly my cup of tea because it's a PvP game, except, you know, there's no Titan combat. I loved Titan Warfare because there was Titan shifter combat and you could attack Titan shifters with your ODM. That was one of my most favorite things to do. But this game, you can reel out your hooks, you can reel in your hooks. This game even has hook wrapping. The default controls are pretty weird though. You'd probably want to look into changing them. The reason I don't like it is probably because I fucking suck at it. I got 2 kills and 10 deaths. I don't feel like learning this game, okay? Another old game would be Downfall. If you're looking for a game that takes little to no skill, something to play for 10 to 20 minutes, can't go wrong with this game. It has virtually no skill curve in my opinion. Maybe you'd want to look into trying this if it's your very first AOT game. This game was made all the way back in 2016 and it was pretty fun at the time. Surprisingly, 8 years later, it's still got some active players playing it. This game is so old that back when AOT games had the problem of Roblox mistaking Titan models as being naked characters and games having to change the models so their game wouldn't get taken down, the Titans still have the Armored Titan textures. Some of these games might not be up forever. I joined the Dead on Arrival server and basically it seems the reason they aren't working on Dead on Arrival anymore is because they say it is likely that Kodansha will tighten the IP on AOT, meaning a lot of games will be shut down and won't be worth developing. And they also say they unfortunately didn't get a spot in the contest, which is, I don't really understand why. I think they deserved a spot because this game has some great mechanics. For a demo, this might be some of the best ODM mechanics I've seen. It's just so satisfying. I looked into a lot of games and spent many hours trying out games for this video. There are so many more games that I could have included or at least mentioned, but I didn't want to waste your time. I only included the games I felt were worth mentioning, but I could make a whole video on the worst AOT games if that's something you guys want to see. I also could have gone way more in depth on a lot of these games. This video could have been 30 minutes long if I wanted it to be. As I said before, I'm not going to be uploading on the Spoon channel. I don't give a shit about that channel anymore. I only really had one reason for making that one, and that reason is now gone.